it's 10 a.m. here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. President Yoon Suk-yeol wrapped up his Southeast Asia trip last week with deals that promise to tighten collaboration with the Philippines, Singapore, as well as ASEAN nations. He may brief the public on the outcome of his trip in just a moment. And that's why we are breaking into our regular programming to bring you live coverage of his remarks. In the 44th cabinet meeting that's about to begin soon, President Yoon could also make note of South Korean novelist Kang winning the Nobel Prize in Literature last week. For her work, which includes the novel The Vegetarian, she became the first Asian female to be awarded the prize in literature. She's also the second South Korean to secure a Nobel Prize after former President Kim Jong-un, who won the Peace Prize back in 2000. Also included in today's cabinet meeting may be North Korea's recent argument regarding South Korea's alleged drone incursion into Pyongyang. The regime has been insisting since last Friday that South Korea sent unmanned aerial vehicles carrying propaganda leaflets to its capital, a total of 3 times just this month. The regime is now threatening to cut off all inter-Korean roads and railways. While we wait for President Yoon to appear at the Yongsan presidential office, let's recap some of the highlights from his Southeast Asia trip. His week-long trip consisted of 3 stops, with the first 2 being state visits to the Philippines and Singapore. Now, in Singapore, he managed to secure a supply chain partnership agreement. And for the Philippines, Seoul and Manila agreed to maintain support for each other's security issues. They are North Korea for South Korea and the South China Sea issues for the Philippines. Now, the final destination of his week-long trip was Laos, where this year's ASEAN summit took place. And in light of marking the 35th year of establishing a dialogue relationship, South Korea and ASEAN upgraded their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Now, also in Laos, President Yoon held his first ever in-person talks with the new Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. There, the 2 leaders voiced the need to continue improving Seoul-Tokyo relations as they have been. For those of you who have just tuned in, we are just still waiting for this year's 44th cabinet meeting to begin here. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol may bring South Korean novelist Kang winning this year's Nobel Prize in Literature just last week. To remind you, she became the first Asian female to be awarded with the prize in literature. But she is the second South Korean to secure a Nobel Prize after former President Kim Jong-un, who won the Peace Prize back in 2000. Now, President Yoon could tout Kang and also her work and address how far Korean literature has come. Now, it looks like the cabinet meeting is about to begin. We'll come back after he delivers his remarks.
Begin the cabinet meeting. Last week, I paid a state visit to the Philippines and Singapore, and attended the ASEAN-related summit held in Vientiane in Laos. The ASEAN summit includes the Korea-ASEAN summit between Korea and the 10 ASEAN countries, and the ASEAN Plus 3 summit with Korea, China, and Japan. And on top of this, the East Asia Summit, EAS, which the United States, Russia, and India participate. And I attended all the 3 multilateral meetings. I also had bilateral meetings with many leaders of different countries who visited Laos. Through this visit, I strengthened, together with the ASEAN countries, strategic cooperation with our allies in key economic cooperation in the areas of infrastructure, supply chains, and energy. And this was been solidifying the global pivotal state status of our country. During the state visit to the Philippines, which was held in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the 2 countries, President Marcos and I established a strategic partnership. We decided to implement the Korea-Philippines FTA as soon as possible and further expand participation of our companies in rapidly growing sectors in the Philippines. In particular, I asked for the cooperation of the Philippines so that our companies in Korea can advance into the large-scale infrastructure projects connecting major islands in the Philippines. In addition, we agreed to promote the Laguna Lake Ring Road and PNG Bridge projects as loans from our EDCF. This has provided an opportunity to further expand the participation of Korean companies in the Philippines and the infrastructure projects in the country. In addition, we signed an MOU on cooperation in the supply chain of core raw materials with the Philippines, laying foundation for combining the Philippines' abundant resources such as nickel, cobalt, and our advanced industrial capabilities. We also signed an MOU on cooperation in the feasibility study for the resumption of construction of the Bataan nuclear power plant. And with this, we will drive the cooperation in nuclear power with the Philippines. Myself and President Marcos, we also decided to expand a Korean company's participation in the Philippines military modernization project. I believe that this will be an expansion in the industry exports, defense industry exports to the Philippines. And then I visited Singapore, which is a key partner country in ASEAN. And during this visit, Korea and Singapore agreed to establish a strategic partnership relationship next year to commemorate its 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties. The two countries that have been leading Asia's growth agreed to expand cooperation in various fields such as advanced technology, energy, food safety, startups, and digital utilization, education. In particular, Singapore as a logistics hub, we decided to strengthen our supply chain alliance, and also Singapore, which is an international natural gas trading hub. We are also going to pursue a stable supply of natural gas by promoting cooperation. Through the LNG cooperation MOU and supply chain partnership agreements that were signed within Singapore, we believe that this will contribute to have an impact on the uncertainty of our external conditions on our economy and securing a stable energy supply. The Singapore lecture hosted by the Singapore Institute of Southeast Asian Studies explained the meaning of international solidarity in the vision of free unification, and I emphasized the realization of a free and open unified Korean peninsula will be a historical turning point that will promote freedom, peace, and prosperity in the world, and that it is a must that we have to be in solidarity with the international community. The Korea-ASEAN summit that was held in Laos, Korea and ASEAN declared the establishment of a comprehensive strategic partnership, which is the highest level of partnership. We, back in 1989, established the dialogue relations with the ASEAN, and over the past 35 years ever since, our trade with ASEAN has increased 23-fold and investment 80-fold, and human exchanges 37 times. And based on such history of cooperation, Korea and ASEAN have entered into the best cooperative relationship in the areas of peace, prosperity, and coexistence, and we are going to accelerate such cooperation across many fields. And through this ASEAN +3 summit, we were able to create a new turning point for cooperation between ASEAN, Korea, China, and Japan. Held in May, after 4 years and 5 months, the Korea-Japan-China Summit is becoming a catalyst for ASEAN's +3 cooperation. The comprehensive strategic partnership between Korea and ASEAN, with the establishment of it, the role of Korea in this cooperative body will be further expanded. The Republic of Korea will strive to strengthen connectivity with ASEAN by contributing to expanding the financial and food safety nets in the ASEAN region and leading cooperation in future industries, including electric vehicles, and actively supporting the development of ASEAN talent. Meanwhile, at the EAS, I emphasized that the security and economic uncertainties facing the international community stem from challenges to norms and rules. Security challenges that run counter to the norm-based international order, such as North Korea's nuclear and missile provocations and threats, they are putting human lives and even the economy at risk. Myself and my government will work more closely with countries such as United States, Japan, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the Philippines and Malaysia to take the lead in protecting freedom, peace, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. During my visit to Laos, I held bilateral meetings with Japan, Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. With Prime Minister Ishiba of Japan, we agreed to continue the shuttle diplomacy and communicate at all levels to mature the bilateral relations. With Australian Prime Minister, I agreed to cooperate further in the areas of national defense industry, and supply chain. With the Thai Prime Minister, we held our first summit in just 1 month after taking office and discussed ways to strengthen cooperation related to future industries such as EVs and nuclear power. The Vietnamese Prime Minister, with Prime Minister Chinh, we agreed to deepen cooperation in trade, investment, and infrastructure. With Laos President Thong Loon, we agreed to establish a comprehensive partnership next year to mark the 30th anniversary of the re-establishment of our diplomatic ties and strengthen cooperation in climate response and infrastructure. I hope that all ministries will take good care and follow-up measures so that the results of this visit can lead to tangible results that are palpable by the people. Our government, ever since its inauguration, has worked to build a capital market that meets global standards. The private sector-led, market-centered economy policy was the one that we transitioned into, and we solidified the fundamentals of the economy. And the global investors, so for them to easily invest in our capital market, we have been promoting institutional improvements to this end. We have made it easier for foreign investors to buy and sell our government bonds and have extended the trading hours for foreign exchange until 2 a.m. With such orchestrated efforts, the decision on our country's inclusion in the World Government Bond Index was made on October 9th. The Global Government Bond Investment Index worth $2.5 trillion. We have been proudly included in the ranks, and this has opened our way into the global capital market. And we believe that this is an evidence that our government's policies has been done and executed in the right direction. It is expected that approximately 75 trillion won of global investment funds will flow in with the inclusion into the World Government Bond Index. Based on stable global government bond demand, interest rates will stabilize and the supply of foreign exchange liquidity will become smoother. Along with such good news, our stock market is also expected to change. The government has been banning short selling and promoting fundamental institutional reform since November of last year, and this was to protect our capital market from illegal market disruption and also protect 14 million individual investors. On September 26, the revised Capital Market Act to improve the short selling system passed the National Assembly and will be promulgated today after the cabinet meeting. When the law goes into effect at the end of March next year, it will be possible to comprehensively inspect illegal short selling through the system. The uneven playing field between institutions and individual investors will be resolved, and also the illegal short selling and unfair trading, the punishment for such activities will be further strengthened. I hope that the relevant organizations will be thoroughly prepared. In addition, the government will further accelerate the corporate value-up policy to vitalize the capital market. And we are going to provide various incentives to shareholder-friendly companies. Through this, we believe that the virtuous cycle in which the companies increase their values and citizens who can invest and enjoy greater profits will create a virtuous cycle. And we believe that the ruling and opposition parties, the bilateral efforts, will be there to eliminate market instability factors. This inclusion in the World Government Bond Index, eradicating of illegal short selling, tax system reform, and corporate value up will eliminate the Korea discount, so to say, and elevate the status of Korean capital market. We will do our best to ensure that the government's efforts lead to the vitality of the real market, real economy, so that the people can feel the benefits.
이후 의안 심의는 비공개로 진행되오니 언론인 여러분께서는
That was our live coverage of the 44th Cabinet meeting of the year. We'll bring you more highlights in our upcoming newscast, but in the meantime, let's turn to stories making the headlines at this hour. We start with North Korea's persistent claim of drone incursions by South Korea. The leader, Kim Jong-un, has convened a council meeting where he reportedly ordered military and political directions regarding the drones. Our An Sung-jin starts us off.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has given a staunch military and political statement in response to the regime's claim of drone incursions by South Korea last week. However, what he exactly stated has not been released. This is according to the regime's state-run Korean Central News Agency, which said that Kim convened a Defense and Security Council meeting on Monday to discuss a military action plan. It added that the regime's leader during the meeting also came forward with important military tasks needed in mobilizing war deterrence and self-defense. On the same day, North Korean leader's sister Kim Yo-jong again denounced Seoul. In a statement reported on KCNA, she accused the South Korean military of being the main culprit behind sending unmanned drones into Pyongyang, and added that the U.S. should also be accountable. No evidence was provided to support her claim. An expert from the South Korea's Institute for National Unification analyzed her statement and suggested that her emotional response has a pattern, which is then followed by a shock therapy response. He added that with South Korea maintaining ambiguity, North Korea's trigger and pressure comes from the fact that it has been unable to exactly identify the source of the drones. These heightened tensions come as North Korea claimed on Friday that Seoul sent unmanned aerial vehicles carrying propaganda leaflets to its capital on October 3rd, 9th, and 10th. The South Korean military said it is unable to verify the claim, neither confirming nor denying allegations. And amid the threats from Pyongyang, Russia on Monday said that the drone incursions are a violation of North Korea's sovereignty, and that Seoul's supposed actions destroy the legitimate state and political system of an independent state. Russia's foreign ministry also urged South Korean authorities to take the North's warning seriously to prevent further escalation of tensions. Earlier this week, the South Korean military has detected the North's preparation to blow up roads along the Gyeonggi and Donghae railway lines which connect the two Koreas, a sign of Pyongyang's increasing intentions to cut off land links with the South. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin submitted a bill to the State Duma on Monday to ratify Russia's strategic agreement with North Korea. Now, the bill provides for military assistance in case one of the countries is attacked. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday submitted a bill to the Russian parliament's lower house to ratify the Treaty on Comprehensive Strategic Partnership between Moscow and Pyongyang, signed back in June. According to Russia's state-run TASS news agency, the ratification of the treaty was listed on the State Duma's electronic database. The Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty was signed by Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on June 19th during Putin's visit to Pyongyang with the goal of deepening partnership and strategic cooperation in a wide range of areas. Most notably, Article 4 of the treaty includes a mutual defense clause that the two allies will provide military and other assistance to each other if one party is attacked. The treaty was met with international condemnation, including from South Korea, which stressed that such a treaty would pose a strategic threat to regional stability. With North Korea holding its Supreme People's Assembly last week, there have been no reports yet on whether North Korean leader Kim Jong-un also ratified the treaty signed with Putin. 이승재, Arirang News.
So tensions are high yet again here on the peninsula, with North Korea now threatening to blow up roads connected to South Korea. What's behind the regime's hostile behavior? Let's turn to Professor Brian Myers for more. Welcome.
Thank you.
So North Korea's threats on Monday came just days after the North warned they would cut off all inter-Korean roads and railways. Professor Myers, why such a dramatic development here on the Korean peninsula?
Well, it's apparently because of the drones which the North Koreans accuse the South Koreans of having sent into North Korean airspace. You know, when North Korean drones came into South Korean airspace in 2022, that was perceived as a big humiliation to the South Korean military. But North Korea is a military-first state. The North Korean regime derives, I think, the bulk of its legitimation from the perception of its military strength. So South Korean drone incursions into North Korea pose, I think, an even greater threat to the legitimacy of the North Korean state. So it's responding with this very tense and belligerent rhetoric.
And North Korea issued a directive to its artillery units near the border to be fully on standby to shoot. The question is, how likely is it that the North will actually go ahead with such a provocative act?
Well, we had even more tension and even more belligerence in the spring of 2013, and in the end, nothing really happened. So I wouldn't ascribe too much importance to this directive. After all, the two Koreas are still formally at war, so troops along the DMZ are generally on a higher state of alert than border troops in most other parts of the world. Also, North Korea is supplying weapons and maybe even soldiers to Russia's war effort in Ukraine. So I doubt that Kim wants big trouble with South Korea right now. On the other hand, as I say, this is a big embarrassment for the North Korean military. The North Korean people are led to believe that the rest of the world is quaking in fear of their country. So this poses a serious challenge to the regime that it probably won't take lying down. I think we'll see an escalation of some sort, but probably not an outbreak of real hostilities.
Well, what we have to note here is that local experts are actually questioning the origin of these drones that flew over the border, saying they actually belong to North Korea. Professor Myers, what's your take on this?
I'm a bit skeptical that the South Korean military would have sent the drones, because that would have required some sort of approval from the U.S. military, which I doubt that the Americans would have given. I'm inclined to think it was South Korean NGOs, but I'm actually more skeptical of the notion that this is just something that the North Koreans have done themselves to create tension. That reminds me a little bit of the notion that it was the Russians who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, when in fact it turned out to be NATO after all. You know, I think the drones probably did come from South Korea, but what I find strange is that North Korea decided to make such a big public fuss about this. You know, if this was such a big embarrassment, and I think it was, you have to wonder why North Korea wants to draw so much attention to what is really a security failure on the Kim regime's part.
And, you know, before these drones came, there were trash-carrying balloons from the north, you know, in a retaliatory move against the same move staged by North Korean defectors here in South Korea. Does that mean there's a chance of the North flying drones to South Korea as well? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is an option. You know, we've had a few North Korean drone incursions already, as I said,
right.
And that did have a good political effect from the North Koreans' perspective. So I think this is an option that Kim Jong-un might resort to. If it comes to drone wars, you know, battles between drones going back and forth, I think the North is more likely to win, because it's easier for North Korea to shoot down drones on the relatively long flight to Pyongyang, much of which is quite sparsely populated, than it will be for South Korea to shoot down drones over Seoul. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I think it would be a kind of a logical form of escalation from the North's perspective.
Professor Myers, before I let you go, what's also notable is that South Korea's military first denied flying the balloons, but later added that the military can't really confirm it happened. What is it that Seoul is trying to do? Trying to confuse Pyongyang?
Well, militaries like to preserve strategic ambiguity. It's always better to keep your adversary guessing, after all. In this particular case, I think either a formal denial or a formal confirmation would have been problematic. Denial would have meant that South Korean NGOs sent the drones, and that would have put the government here under pressure to stop that kind of activity. As for formal confirmation, that might well escalate the situation further. So regardless of who actually sent the drones, I think ambiguity was probably the wisest course of action here.
Alrighty, Professor Myers, thank you so much for your insights. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
As the New York Stock Exchange entered the third quarter corporate earnings announcement season, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed above the 43,000 mark for the first time on Monday. The Dow Jones rose 201.36 points, or 0.47% from the previous trading session, to close at 65,000.22. The S&P 500 closed at an all-time high also of 5,859.85, up nearly 45 points from the previous trading session. Wall Street is seeing positive momentum with the expectation that the U.S. economy is maintaining a solid growth trend, with 30 companies listed in the S&P 500 exceeding analysts' third quarter earnings expectation by an average of 5%. Korea's experts of information and communication technology continued a positive momentum in September, raking in over $22 billion. Now, overseas chip sales were behind yet another on-year increase. Our correspondent Moon Hae-ryun has more.
Strong semiconductor exports due to the AI boom once again led South Korea's tech shipments overseas. Data from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy showed that ICT exports in September rose by 24% compared to the same month the year before, adding up to $22.36 billion. This is the second highest amount for a month's worth of ICT exports on record and marks the 11th consecutive month that the country's tech exports recorded a year-on-year increase. The ministry attributed this to a rise in demand for chips in the artificial intelligence sector. The total value of semiconductor exports last month recorded an all-time high, coming in at more than $13.6 billion, once again recording growth in the double digits. This is showcased by exports of memory chips, including high-bandwidth memory semiconductors, which show significant growth of more than 60% year-on-year. As for other tech exports, computers and computer accessories surged by more than double year-on-year, while mobile phone shipments climbed by more than 25% on the back of the release of the foldable Galaxy Z series from Samsung Electronics in July, which continued its popularity into September. However, exports of displays and telecommunication equipment saw a decline. By country, tech exports to China, South Korea's main destination for ICT shipments, accounting for more than 41% of the total, continue to grow for the 11th month in a row. Shipments to the United States also rose by nearly 40% year-on-year, particularly for computer storage devices such as SSDs, which jumped by more than 250%. Meanwhile, ICT imports came to around $12.5 billion, leaving the ICT trade balance in the black once more. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
The Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences has been awarded to economists Darren Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James Robinson for studies of how institutions are formed and affect a country's prosperity. The announcement was made on Monday in Stockholm. The chair of the Economics Prize Committee said that thanks to the economists' groundbreaking research, we now have a much deeper understanding of why countries fail or succeed. This marks the end of the Nobel Prizes awarded this year. J-Hope will shortly become the second of the 7 BTS members to complete his 18-month mandatory military service. His agency Big Hit Music announced on Monday that J-Hope will be discharged from the Army on Thursday, October 17th. It added that there will be no special events that day, asking fans to refrain from visiting the site for safety reasons. Now, Jin was the first member to reunite with the band's fandom army in June. Fans will have to wait until at least June 2025 to see all members discharged and BTS back together again. The transition to clean energy is taking place in small but tangible steps at a camping program on Jeju Island. How about a barbecue using renewable energy? And you can also charge your phone just by using wind power. Our Park Gon-woo has this story.
A pleasant eco-friendly camping adventure utilizing renewable energy. This is available on South Korea's largest island, Jeju, by using its plentiful natural resources, including wind power. As part of the net zero target of 2035, Jeju held its first RE100 camping event last week at the Dongbok Bukchon wind farm, sourcing renewable electricity for cooking and lighting the site, among others.
With renewable energy generated from the wind power at the site, you can charge your own phone just like me. Now I'm ready for more eco-friendly experiences. By riding this electric bicycle charged with renewable energy, you can enjoy the beautiful nature of Jeju while breathing in the fresh air.
A total of 100 campers signed up on a first-come, first-served basis enjoyed themselves during the one-night stay.
I've always been interested in recycling, so participating in this was meaningful. I rode an electric bike for the first time and it was fun. I'm looking forward to the barbecue, especially as you can't miss out on eating when camping.
Pork barbecued using electricity generated from wind power, along with farm produce from Jeju including carrots, was served to the campers for dinner. And as the camping was held at a site filled with abundant natural scenery, the campers were able to engage with nature as well. While trekking Gotjawar Forest, a kind of volcanic ecosystem in Jeju, campers had a chance to listen carefully to the sounds of nature with headsets and a small recorder.
I felt really comfortable as I was absorbed in the sounds of nature. It was fun to experience these activities with campers interested in environmental issues. I would like to keep coming here.
An official from the Jeju Tourism Organization is confident that the experience will continue to be popular.
Considering the environment and energy transition is a global trend, various eco-friendly events and content are being made. That's why our renewable energy camping is more unique.
He also said Jeju will be planning many more of these eco-friendly camping programs to bring more tourists to the region down the road. Park Gon-woo, Arirang News, Jeju.
Good morning, I'm Kim Ji-young, and this is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. US space agency NASA launches Europa Clipper spacecraft on Monday from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida on a long mission to Jupiter, where it will investigate the planet's moon, Europa, for signs of life. The Europa Clipper launched at 12:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time from Florida aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket to begin its 2.9 billion kilometer journey. The largest spacecraft NASA has ever built for a mission to an alien planet, the Europa Clipper is bound for Jupiter's fourth largest moon, where NASA's Galileo mission in the 90s found strong signs of an enormous subsurface ocean that may provide adequate conditions to support life. According to NASA, evidence suggests that a salty ocean with more water than all of Earth's oceans combined lies under Europa's surface layer of ice. The Europa Clipper is set to reach Jupiter's orbit in April 2030 and will fly past Europa 49 times. The mission, if successful, would determine the thickness of Europa's icy shell and its relation to the ocean below, as well as the composition and characteristics of its geology. India and Canada have expelled their top diplomatic envoys after authorities accuse agents of the Indian government of involvement in, quote, homicides, extortion and violent acts on Canadian soil. Canadian police on Monday said that Indian diplomats and consular officials were leveraging their position to engage in clandestine activities, including acts of violence against Sikh separatists in Canada, before the Canadian Foreign Ministry announced the expulsion of 6 Indian diplomats, including the High Commissioner. Later the same day, India's Foreign Ministry released a statement accusing Canada of being influenced by Sikh separatists and announced 6 Canadian diplomats, including the acting High Commissioner, have been asked to leave India by October 19th. The row stems from the murder of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar last year outside a Sikh temple in British Columbia. The World Health Organization said it received an additional $700 million in pledges for its 2025-2028 budget at the World Health Summit 2024 in Berlin on Monday, bringing the total pledges received to $1 billion. In addition to the $700 million, $300 million have already been pledged by the European and African unions. Germany, one of WHO's biggest donors, said it would provide around $400 million for the Geneva-based organization's next budget. Now, Chancellor Olaf Scholz encouraged other countries to pledge, saying, "Every contribution counts, no matter how small." The Nepali teenage climber, who set the world record as the youngest person to summit the world's 14 highest peaks, has returned home a hero, receiving a warm welcome in the streets of Nepal's capital, Kathmandu. 18-year-old Nimarinji Sherpa reached the 8,027-meter peak of Tibet's Shishapangma mountain last Wednesday to complete the final climb of the 14 mountains with summits that surpass 8,000 meters. The summits conquered by Nima include the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest, and K2, seen as one of the most dangerous peaks. Now, Nima's exceptional achievement was confirmed by the Nepal Mountaineering Association, officially breaking the record of the previous youngest person, Mingma Gyabu David Sherpa, who achieved the feat at age 30, 2019.
Clouds are bringing rain in some places. Rain clouds are dropping light showers to most regions, but heavier rainfall to parts of Gyeongsang-Namdo province, dropping 20 millimeters an hour this morning. Jeju and the south coast could see up to 20 millimeters. The rest of the country will see spotty showers of less than 5 millimeters through the afternoon, but the skies remain cloudy for most of the day. And we are having morning temperatures that are much higher than norms this week so far, with wet clouds trapping the warmth overnight. Nearly 7 degrees higher than average for the capital. Then highs will also go up 1 to 4 degrees higher than Monday in most parts of Korea. Now, for a closer look, Seoul tops out at 23 degrees Celsius. Gwangju and Daegu will make it to 24 degrees Celsius. Chuncheon will have a rain-free day with some sunshine. Then rain on Friday will bring a chill to the country this weekend. Well, that's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time.
How to survive in Korea. Barbecue restaurants. Step 1. Taking care of your clothes. Put your jacket in the plastic bag. Seal it tight. If the stool flips open, store your clothes inside. Wearing light colours, grab an apron. It's the best defence against oil splatter and smoke. Step 2. Bottomless side dishes. Basic side dishes at a barbecue restaurant. Eat, and eat as much as you want. Side dishes come with free refills. Oh, and if you don't see this sign, just ask, 사장님, 여기 밑반찬 좀 더 주세요. Simple, isn't it? Step 3. Grilling meat. There are various kinds of samgyeopsal in Korea. Place the meat on the grill. Turn it over when golden. And again when it looks done. Again and again and again. Step 4. Sam style. You aren't taking bites of sam like a taco, are you? In Korea, we have it in one bite. A pro tip here. Add only as much as you can handle in a bite. Gotta avoid awkward situations. Step 5. Enjoy the perks. After the meal, enjoy the perks offered as a Korean restaurant. Fabric refreshers get rid of the barbecue smell, while mint candies freshen your breath. Did you survive the barbecue restaurant? Hang on. Are you here with someone you want to impress? Then let's skip the garlic. Who knows what will happen?
K-drama, the charm of Korea that captivates the world. Love like a K-drama. A story of us where hope and despair coexist. Fun and refreshingly satisfying. K-dramas carry warmth and move people's hearts. Meet the fascinating stories of Korea through K-dramas.
type of news show. New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We're News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Tuesday, October 15th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're watching News Generation. Today, we're joined by Ji-hee. Good morning. Good morning. And Kim.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Now, both here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, before we move on to our main discussion of the day, as part of our fall reshuffle, we're making some changes to our newsfeed. So instead of covering 3 trending hashtags or news items, which we've done so far, we're narrowing down to just one keyword or hashtag of the day to give us more time to explore what's really trending and also focus on our main discussion. So you can catch our new keyword news every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So let's head straight into our keyword news for today. Today's keyword is shorts. So starting today, October 15th, YouTube is making a big change to its shorts feature, tripling the maximum video length. Creators can now upload shorts up to 3 minutes long. Now, this change only applies to videos uploaded from today, and it's for content that's square or taller in aspect ratio. Previously, shorts were capped at 1 minute and anything longer was categorized as a regular video. YouTube's product management director, Todd Sherman, says this was a top request from creators. Now, this move inside the industry is being seen as the platform's way of stepping up its game in the short-form content market. Now, if you remember, TikTok made a similar change back in 2021, expanding its maximum video length from 60 seconds to 3 minutes. And now, TikTok allows up to 10-minute recordings and even 60-minute uploads for pre-recorded videos. So I want to ask our panelists, do you think this strategy by YouTube will help boost its competitiveness in competition with other platforms? And do you also prefer this new type of so-called long or short-form content, or do you prefer the shorter version?
Well, I mean, for the YouTube's perspective, I think is a necessary change, and I prefer longer video content myself. A short-form video is fun to watch for sure, but it's condensed, it's compact, it tells you a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but in the end, you don't really learn much, and it can be easily forgotten. Of course, if the content is extremely shocking that you would remember. Now, the trend is also leaning toward to the longer video as well. And if you look at YouTube stats, viewers, less people watch a shorter formed video, and they are actually going into a longer video. So I think YouTube made the right change.
So it might be quite a smart and strategic move for YouTube. Now, what are your thoughts on this, T?
Well, to be honest, I don't really watch YouTube Shorts that much.
Is there a reason?
It's not very interesting for me. I'm a fan of reels, like the short ones. I like to share the funny ones and the cute ones, but I guess if they extend it to 3 minutes, creators will be able to put in a lot more stuff into their shorts, so it won't look too packed.
Right.
Or
because previously you had to pack everything within a minute, right?
Exactly. So there was so much to gain from this one shorts, and it kind of it was to grab people's attention within just a short period of time. But I guess extending it will help creators to make more higher quality content.
Right. So once again, this change takes effect from today. So we'll see how this new change goes. And that was our keyword news for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Now, once again, with our reshuffle for this fall, we're dedicating every Tuesday to discuss the latest in Korean culture and the latest in Korea's cultural front. So for more on today's topic, take a look at the screen to find out more.
Last Thursday, October 10, South Korean author Kang made history by becoming the first Korean writer to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. So, who exactly is Kang, and how is the younger generation reacting to her groundbreaking achievement?
Right, so this is definitely a huge moment, not only for Korean literature, but for Korean culture and for Korea as a whole. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I first saw the news, I remember it was a Thursday night. I literally got goosebumps and I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I remember staring at my phone thinking, wow, this is really huge. So I want to ask you, Ji, how did you react to the news that Kang became this year's Nobel Prize winner in literature?
Well, I was quite surprised as well, but because because I had read one of her books, The Vegetarian, 8 years ago while studying interpretation and translation. I was curious about which work had received the Booker International Prize, previously known as the Man Booker Prize, and thought after I read it about halfway, I didn't really like it, and it was quite disturbing. I like reading, but to me, reading is like a form of play, and it sometimes is like a form of meditation as well. So I want to have fun and enjoy what I'm reading and gain some positive energy. But her work wasn't my cup of tea. So I was really surprised when I heard this news. But anyhow, congratulations. And well, even though you're Korean, you don't have to really always be proud or happy about such news, right? Yeah, so that's my take on this.
I see. I mean, it kind of depends on what kind of book or genre you like. So I think there can be diverse opinions when it comes to reading Han Kang's work. Now, I also want to ask how you responded to this news, Ki.
Well, first of all, I never got to say this on air, so congratulations. I was actually surprised and shocked at the same time, and I was shooting for something else. I was shooting some documentary on the day of when Han Kang's announcement was made. And the next day, I was in 8th floor of this very building, reporting news all day for the radio, and they were all about the praises that Han Kang got from the critics, from the fans, from the experts from all around the world. And it was exciting to see that finally Korean writers or Korean literature got recognized worldwide, not just because of the K-wave, but because of pure its work. And I am too in line with Ji-hee in a sense that translating literary work is much tougher. Not only you had to deliver the author's intention, but then the expression has to be very precise when you're translating. For example, a lot of words cannot be translated literally or directly. For example, in the Korean old saying goes, 사촌이 땅을 사면 배가 아프다, meaning when the cousin buys the land, then it causes the stomach ache, which doesn't make any sense in Western culture. But if you were to translate it in English, then your neighbor's grass is always greener, right? So those kind of things is what's necessary, and the translator played a really important role in Han Kang's work as well. That's what I think.
Right, so it was definitely a team effort between Han Kang and also her numerous translators who translated her works. Now, back to Han Kang's winning of the Nobel Prize in Literature. She is already a major figure in Korean literature. As Ji mentioned, she became the first Korean, the only Korean by date to win the Man Booker International Prize. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of our viewers have heard her name for the first time due to her Nobel Prize win. So for those of our viewers, could you please explain a bit more about who Han Kang is?
Sure. So Han Kang was born in 1970, so she's in her 40s right now, and majored in Korean literature at Yonsei University. After graduating, she began writing while working as a journalist for a magazine. And after publishing her first collection of short stories, she quit her job to solely focus on writing as a full-time writer. And Han Kang consistently gained attention in the next generation of Korean literary circles by producing a series of substantial works early on. And she also gained attention in the global literary world as her works were translated into English. And in 2016, as we've mentioned, she won the International Booker Prize. And last year, she also received the Prix Medici Award for foreign literature.
Right, so she's definitely become a household name in Korean literature over the years. Now, Han Kang, and it's not just Han Kang itself when it comes to her literary background, because she also comes from a strong literary family too.
Sure, her father, Mr. Han Seung-won, is also a novelist, and at the age of 85, he is still active and passionate about writing. He recently wrote a book or a long novel called 사람의 길, or The Path of a Human, and both father and daughter, for the very first time in Korea, won Isang Literary Awards, one of the most prestigious awards in Korea. And if I had not known better, I don't think anyone so far had that sort of record, both father and daughter winning the same awards. And in one of the interviews, Mr. Han actually said that sometimes he's even jealous about his daughter's talent and how she portrays her work through her wording and her work.
Right, and he must be so proud of his daughter Han Kang, because she now became the first South Korean to win the Nobel Prize in literature. And remember that Han Kang's father also held a press conference probably a day after the announcement was made that she became a Nobel laureate. Now, I'm sure that a lot of our viewers will know that winning the Nobel Prize is not just a personal or a family honor, it's also a huge moment for Korea. Once again, Han Kang is now South Korea's second Nobel laureate after former late President Kim Jong-un and the first Asian female writer to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. So a lot of people were curious about how she initially reacted to when she heard the news that she won the prize.
Yeah, well, after winning the Nobel Prize, Han Kang expressed her surprise as well in an interview with the Nobel Committee, saying she was very surprised, of course, and truly honored. She said it was a peaceful evening, and she was really shocked to hear the news. And her modest interview particularly became a topic of conversation when she mentioned that she doesn't drink alcohol, so she would rather like to quietly celebrate by having tea with her son.
Right. And right after Han Kang did that interview with the Nobel Committee, it was like a phone interview. A lot of people here in Korea and also abroad, they kind of expected her to hold a press conference because that's what authors or Nobel Prize laureates often do to say what they thought about receiving the award to the media. But she surprisingly chose not to hold a press conference.
Yes, Han Kang so far had not appeared on any sort of media yet officially, and no one knows when she will. Only voice that everyone heard was probably that Nobel Committee's interview on the phone. But according to her father, Mr. Han Seung-won, he said people die every day because of the war raging between Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine. So what's the point of celebrating the award? That's her thoughts. And she asked for understanding for the matter. And Mr. Han said his daughter is also discouraged him to having this celebratory banquet because of the time being. And also she said, please don't celebrate while witnessing these tragic events. And I guess the translator shared the same mind because she shared that same post on her social media. So I guess that's one of the reasons why she didn't appear on the official press conference.
But I think we'll get to see her make a public appearance at least in December because that is when she'll receive the Nobel Prize. And she's reportedly preparing like an address.
Acceptance speech.
Acceptance speech when she is receiving the award in December. So we should probably look out for that. And when talking about her Nobel Prize win, we've seen a lot of coverage on the media about the public's reaction in Korea, especially bookstores. People were generally surprised, but also very, very proud here in Korea. So could you share more about how the general public has reacted to her win?
Sure. So as this is not the only Nobel Prize in Literature for Korea, but like you said, also for an Asian woman, the reaction has been very intense. So in bookstores here in Korea, sales increased 1,000-fold just a day after the award announcement, leading to pre-orders due to a shortage of stock. And the real-time bestseller rankings from 1 to 10 are filled with Han Kang's works, and even online, humanities graduates are very excited because instead of saying, I'm sorry for majoring in humanities, or we say 문송합니다 in Korean, which implies an apology for studying humanities, because in Korea there's a social atmosphere where humanities or literature graduates find it difficult to get jobs. Now they're saying if you graduate with a Korean literature degree, you can win a Nobel Prize.
Maybe they can. Maybe we'll see the second or third winner of the Nobel Prize in literature.
Good to see that they're having hope.
And they're being motivated to work harder. And linking this to our generation, how has our generation reacted to Han Kang's win?
As a matter of fact, I did go to a bookstore a couple of days ago, and I couldn't find any Han Kang's copy. Not Korean version, not English version. It's still on hold. But songs that Han Kang used to listen to, the song actually Han Kang cried to, it was 어떻게 이별까지 사랑하겠어 by Acme, or How Can I Love Heartbreak, or The One I Love, is now getting back on charts. And also, like she said, younger people are also getting hope and proud of Han Kang winning the prize. And on the social media, there's a new movement called text hip, which is a comprised word of text and hip. It originated from the fact that the world-famous model Gaia Gerber said in an interview with The Guardian earlier this year, said reading is so sexy, and refers to a culture which people take pictures of books or reading books to authenticate themselves and share them on social media or a page of the book or some of the quotes that they like. And Gen Zers are now used to screen reading something off from the tablet PCs or on a monitor, and actually reading paper book is not their thing. But now when they see the posts by their stars or influencers reading actual book, then they follow them.
Right, they buy them.
Right, so I think this is a good trend that people should follow.
Right, and just by seeing how the books by Kang are now sold out, we can see that paper books are definitely making a comeback. So for those who are just tuning in, we're talking about Kang's Nobel Prize win in literature. Now for more on this incredible win and what this means for Korean literature, we're going to invite a Korean-American author to our talks after a short break.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Right, so today we're joined by Ellen Oh, author of the book Finding Junie Kim. Welcome, Ellen, to the show.
Hi, how are you today?
We're great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, such a pleasure.
Right, so our first question for you today is when you first heard that Kang had won the Nobel Prize in Literature, tell us about your initial reaction.
I kind of went a little bit crazy, to be honest, because I think I shouted my whole house down, running around, getting all my family, my kids who are Gen Z, college students and law school students, and telling them about the win, and they're just looking at me kind of blankly. And I realized at that point, okay, all right, this is more of a writer thing. But I was just so proud to have the first South Korean woman, but let alone that, a first Asian woman win the Nobel Prize for Literature. So really, when my family didn't give me the reaction I needed, I got right on the phone. I started texting all of my writer friends, and just kind of like, we're all kind of blown away by it, you know, just stunned and just so proud too.
I see. Well, what do you think makes Kang's writing so unique? What is it about her work that resonates with readers around the world?
Well, her writing is spare, it's elegant, yet it's so deeply powerful. And there's also like this boldness in her writing, willingness to try different things. I find it so mesmerizing. In fact, I actually consider Human Acts to be one of the best books that I've probably read in my life, to be honest, because of the fact that, like, with poetic precision and yet deeply evocative works that are so unforgettable. And truly, I don't know how she does it. I kind of wish I could take a class that we just study all her works and just pick it apart and study it and really and marvel about it with other admirers. Because, you know, for me, The Vegetarian was deeply unsettling. But I love that about it. I love that the power of her writing was to unsettle people, especially men.
Thank you. So now Kang has won the Nobel Literary Prize, and what kind of impact do you think it'll have on global perception of Korean literature?
Well, I was talking about this with another Korean-American writer friend, Kat Cho, and she mentioned that while the Korean entertainment industry has brought to the world to Korea as their fandom, it always felt like it was a smaller piece of a very complicated Korean identity, right? And so Kang's books brings more global awareness to what the Korean people have actually endured and survived. And I totally agree with that, because the history of Korea is so complex and sad and painful, and yet we are such a resilient people. But here in the US, and I live right in the Washington, D.C. area, before the Korean wave, most Americans couldn't pick Korea out of a map, right? So I'm grateful that Kang's writing is bringing humanity and history and feminism to the world stage. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of my heritage. And quite frankly, I'm really proud of being a woman right now, too.
All right, Ellen, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so ending off, I would like to ask the same question to our panelists. What kind of impact do you think will Han Kang's Nobel Prize win will have on the world of Korean literature or more broadly on Korean culture?
Well, I believe that English translations and translations in general of Korean literature will receive more attention moving forward, and I hope it does. And I also personally hope that people won't just get excited about this news as a one-time event, but will see it as an opportunity to pay more attention to Korean literature in general and spend more time reading in the long term. And I hope people won't just blindly follow trends and will instead read something they're truly interested in, because there's so many great literary works and books out there written by so many talented Korean authors that may better suit their preferences, even if they haven't won the Nobel Prize.
Right, because it's not just novels. We have poems and so many more amazing works in the world of literature.
Yeah,
true. Right, and what about Yuki?
Well, more jobs for translators for sure, because there are more works that need to be in the spotlight. We talked about K literature a few weeks ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, and then even Chaim-pyo flying to England to shed some lights on some Korean work, literary work, and we need more of these. And Han Kang's winning award definitely drew the line, and this shouldn't be just a fad. It should keep going, and I agree with Ji in somewhat sense that, because some writers said it's okay even if you blindly start and follow the trend, because at least he or she will hold the book in their hands and read a few lines, and that's the start, that's the beginning, and that's very important. So hopefully this trend will continue.
Hopefully, and once again, congratulations to Ms. Han Kang, and also wish the best for Korean literature. And that's all from us today, but NewsGen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks today to Choi-ji.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And Ki-Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.